Howdy do, King Bullet here. How you all doing? Good, I assume. If not, hopefully this video cheers you up. Anyway, today we will be talking about a very controversial, emotion-dwelling topic that have anime fans and scalers alike conflicted with each other on the answer to this topic. Something I hope to at least try and shed light on. The popularities of Naruto and One Piece are immense. Two titans of fiction and are considered rivals in the anime and manga world. Each franchise has expanded to include numerous movies, video games, toys, etc. Both seem to follow a very similar archetype. The pinnacle of this rivalry leads them to be matched up in a fight versus each other. So if they were to hypothetically fight in a neutral playing field, who would win this? It should be noted both series are ongoing, so the scaling in this video can be outdated and the conclusion is not definitive. Firstly, we'd have to go over their power scaling. Let's begin with Luffy. So pre-time skip. A lot of people claim that Luffy is light speed since he reacts to somebody called Foxy who uses photons, but if I'm being honest, I don't think these photons are real since they're actually called neurophotons, not photons, which would prescribe that there's a differentiation between the two despite the fact that they can reflect. But neurophotons are stated to be an atom that is a scientific mystery that nobody understands and is undiscovered, meaning we can't really presuppose that they're the same as our photons since there's a distinct differentiation between them. Foxy states that his photons can slow people down, whereas Kizaru's photons don't do this. Foxy's also has this bending property, something that photons can't really do. Luffy does go on to fight this guy called Bartholomew Kuma, who is stated to blast air blasts that move at the speed of light. Luffy does avoid his attacks, however there's a lot of issues. Kuma should be vastly superior to the second gear Luffy, since he was capable of finding an opening and got between Silver's Rayleigh and Kizaru as they were in the heat of battle, and claimed to them that he was capable of repelling air at the speed of light. Kizaru should be far beyond Luffy at this stage, so this kind of leads me to believe that Kuma was suppressed versus pre-time skip Luffy, and this does kind of make sense since Kizaru at this point is far faster than Luffy. He completely outspeeds him, but to be absolutely fair, Luffy, who somewhat kind of reacts to Kizaru's kick that is moving apparently at the speed of light. I think this feat is calculated sub-relativistic, so like a few percentages the speed of light. If you're being generous, I've seen like lower calculations for this. So pre-time skip, I don't think Luffy is light speed yet, or really anywhere close. And then before you start calling me a hater, there is evidence actually backing this up completely. So during the time skip, there's a TV special movie, which is 100% canon, since Oda directly approves the movie. Basically in this movie, Silver's Rayleigh, when training Luffy, states no matter how much Luffy strains his senses, unfortunately, Luffy can't perceive things moving at the velocity of light. But once you learn observation haki, which gives you the ability to sense where things are gonna be, so it's like more like aim dodging, I suppose, maybe like precognition, then you can perceive light, implying that Luffy wasn't light speed pre-time skip. So that infamous feat against Grundy World, where Luffy matches his 100-fold speed despite matching him in base, is a little bit hard to quantify since apparently base Luffy isn't even light speed yet, or able to perceive light without observation haki so he can aim dodge. So post time skip, Luffy fights the pacifistas, these cyborgs who are built in the mold of Warlord Bartholomew Kuma, who are stated to use light beams just like Kizaru. Anyway, they fire these laser beams at Luffy. Luffy in his base form easily reacts to them and calls him slow. This feat is usually calculated a few percentages the speed of light since it's happening from quite a far distance, being calculated roughly 2% the speed of light, still 50 times slower than light. But let's be super generous, since Luffy is calling the beams of light slow and the narrative implication is that he's beyond the pacifista, so Luffy should be at least light speed based off that. Surprisingly, we haven't really talked about how strong Luffy is, like physically. We know in Dressrosa, Luffy uses his foot to block a stomp from Doflamingo. In base, second and third gears, he's stronger than Doflamingo's Black Knight, which created the birdcage. The birdcage is capable of tanking roughly 1.7 teratons worth of TNT, or the energy equivalent to destroying a small country. You might be able to see calculations slightly higher, maybe into a country level range, but the most consistent is small country level. During his fight with Doflamingo, he uses 4th gear, Boundman, and according to Doflamingo, Luffy's tensile force became several times greater, several meaning at least 3, so essentially he became 3 times more elastic, multiplying his strain, speed, force, durability by at least 3 times. So imagine pulling a rubber band back 3 times its usual force and then releasing it. It would be that much more powerful, faster, and obviously durable without it snapping. This doesn't inherently have to be a multiplier, but we can assume it is, just to be a little bit more charitable. So 3 times 1.7 teratons of TNT gets us 5.1 teratons of TNT, which is the equivalent to still blowing up a small country, but borderline a normal country. Also speed-wise, he would go from being as fast as the speed of light times 3, so 3 times faster than the speed of light. It should be noted, Luffy between all these arcs does get drastically stronger, but it's really hard to quantify. Without being he blitzes this character, one-shots this character, etc. etc. During the whole cake arc, Luffy gets far stronger, being able to somewhat contend with Katakuri, who's getting closer to Admiral level, to the likes of Blackbeard, who can create giant tsunamis that can be calculated anywhere from large country level to multi-continental. I feel like the multi-continental feats assume a lot more, like the size of tectonic plates, so the large country level to continental calcs seem to be fairer and more consistent. Anyway, Luffy withstood a lot of attacks from Katakuri. Katakuri should also be above the likes of Sabo, who created flames faster than Kizaru's light beams, so maybe them being faster than the speed of light is pretty consistent here. Although Kizaru can amp himself to go beyond light speed since he manipulates light, as stated, I would assume. So we're going to do a little bit of a skip here. So during a raid on Onigashima, during Luffy's first encounter with the legendary Kaido, the Emperor's might was so immense that it could knock out Luffy with a single strike of his mace. However, training in the prisoner mine, Luffy confronts Kaido again. Luffy manages to emerge unconscious without serious injury after being partially struck by the same attack, meaning he is getting stronger. His Red Hawk was strong enough that it forced Kaido, one of the strongest pirates in the world by the way, who is renowned for his near indestructible body, to actually dodge that attack. Luffy also survived getting hit by an off-guard Kaido's Thunder Bagua with minimal injury. Kaido is pretty strong because he fought and matched Big Mom, who is stated to be one of the only few people who can stop Blackbeard. He should be comparable to other Yonko, such as Shanks. But if you really want, you can scale them to Whitebeard, who all these Yonkos should be at least somewhat comparable to, despite Whitebeard being the strongest pirate. Whitebeard can possibly destroy the entire world. In the translator's notes, it said don't take this literally, but this is only a translator's note, and in the manga this is backed up. So could Whitebeard destroy the world? Possibly. However, what kind of feat would it be? How is he destroying it? We all know he said that he could do this with his attack that creates tremors, which he has used in the past, and that being calculated roughly a large country level to continental feat again, possibly multi-continental. So realistically, would this be like a life-wiping, surface-wiping feat? Probably. And if it was, it would be roughly around multi-continental. In fact, it would be around the top ranges of multi-continental, closer to like moon level. But you might be able to assume he's gonna blow up the planet or like shatter it beyond his GBE, which I don't see how you could do with tremors. Maybe, I mean, it's not the realm of possibility. So Luffy's getting closer to this world-ending planetary power, I suppose. Maybe capable of destroying the planet if we're being generous, and also multiple times faster than the speed of light. These god tiers should be like a blitz level beyond what I was saying earlier. Luffy is pretty fast at this point. There is one more argument to be made, and that's to do with the size of a One Piece planet. Of course, if they can destroy the actual planet, then this may affect their scaling. Some people even say that the planet is as large as like a star or like a solar system. However, this wouldn't really make sense, since anything beyond a large planet becomes like a dwarf star. You might say this is like an appeal to reality, but we have some assumptions in the first place to make. We're like assuming that the other laws of physics apply, like the whole light speed thing. That's why we granted that to Luffy in the first place. So if we're not allowed to do that, then I think this is a little bit unfair. We have to have like a principle of consistency. So there are a few calculations making the One Piece planet a large planet, maybe like a gas giant like Jupiter or Saturn. So at best, I can see Luffy at large planet level. Now, moving on to Naruto's power, I'm going to use adult Naruto since I don't want any complaints, though this might actually be unfair. So how strong is Naruto? Well, we know even in his base form, in the new era, the Boruto era, he's stronger than the current 5 Kage, who scaled to Kinshiki, base Momoshiki, that kind of level. I think base Momoshiki even notes that Naruto is top tier in all stats, having base Momoshiki notably scared and on the run. He did also tank a kick from base Momoshiki, so he is pretty consistent. How strong is base Momoshiki? Well, there's 2 metas I think you can probably use. The fairest one that you have to at least grant, the Stellar meta, where in the 3rd novel, which is completely canon, this is not even the movie novelization by the way, Momoshiki destroys a world by creating a supernova. Supernovas usually rip apart solar systems, so Momoshiki is roughly around solar system level at this point, if not greater, since supernovas are actually more impressive than destroying a solar system. Momoshiki is also a threat greater than Kaguya, who can both create and destroy, most importantly, a dimension with a star and planet inside of it, making it like a small solar system. Destroying something of this magnitude is like nice solar system level, so Momoshiki scaling above this is pretty consistent. Now, if you really want, you can use the other meta, where Kaguya is stated directly to have made her dimensions, her dimension being referred to directly as parallel dimensions.
An account that a parallel dimension exists.
and Momoshikis as parallel universes. So the terms being used ikai and isekai. From my understanding, within One Piece, there's also like a similar statement where this guy called Charlotte Montdior creates these books, and these books can house like isekai within them, although he uses his imagination to make, so it seems similar to the whole like Orochimaru or Itachi can create like infinite spaces within their mind. It's just that this guy is able to house his imagination inside of his books, weirdly enough. Also, the actual term isekai is very context based. For example, it can mean parallel universe or alternate dimension world. In Naruto's case, the reason I say it's a parallel universe is because it says it has to be in a science fiction context, as well as the fact Momoshiki's dimension actually has like stars within it, meaning it's bigger than just a planet or world, indicating it rather means the first definition rather than the latter. Charlotte Montdior doesn't really scale to anybody. He's not really one of the stronger characters, and there's nobody in his tier he scales to who are like universal, so it doesn't even seem like there's a preponderance of evidence or anything for this. Whereas I think for Naruto, you can get like several different lines of scaling and statements that kind of support the whole universal argument from different characters who scale to each other, as well as for the same character. Even the lore supports it. But I'm not going to dwell on this too much. I really doubt people think that this clown dude is like universal and beats characters like Super Saiyan God Goku or Kaguya. Just to stay safe, we'll say base Naruto scales to characters who can destroy solar systems. So right now as it stands, Naruto's more powerful than Luffy. But don't worry, that's not even the most important factor, since I think both of them have like durability negation anyway. So whoever's faster would like negate the other person's durability and harm them no matter how strong or durable they are. Now both characters are capable of doing this. So Luffy's capable of creating like concussive damage that can blow up trees by using air and haki. Now the only issue is that Naruto characters have tanked concussive force before. Like it used to be an issue for Naruto that Tenketsu would take him out since they're bypassing the durability and harming your organs, but he's now capable of taking Tenketsu from Momoshiki without it killing him or doing much damage at all. He should also be capable of healing his organs, having some of the best regen in the verse. Naruto himself also has a ton of hacks that he can use on Luffy. Take poison. I know Luffy's actually capable of being poisoned and developing like an immunity post these poisons, which caused him to be like unaffected by Caesar Clown when he attacked him with poisonous gases. However, he did later fall victim to a poison consuming the skin of an armored stonefish, meaning that poison is actually beyond conventional poison. The same goes for like Naruto's poison, right? This poison was greater than the poison that Sakura had to deal with Sasori, and Sasori's poison was beyond like conventional poison, since it was so hard to cure even for some of the best medical ninja on the planet, despite them being capable of them curing normal poison. So it's like multiple levels beyond normal poison. I'm sure you could probably bring up even more hacks, like a frog strike and ignoring conventional durability through that, etc. But it doesn't really matter, since I think Naruto has the power to overwhelm him anyway. So it really just comes down to speed, who's faster. I'm gonna be honest, I think Naruto blitzes pretty bad. You see a lot of characters being stayed light speed quite early on. You see this in part 1 quite a few times. It's very common for low Kage level characters to be light speed at this point, and Naruto is far beyond that level, especially going into the war arc when we see these characters being blitzed very casually, like the Raikage, which is sometimes calculated anywhere between 50 and 70 times faster than the speed of light. Throughout the war arc, they keep on getting faster and faster, and it's just insane. Like top tiers bringing down meteorites from an asteroid belt, getting Sage Mode amps on top of this, Sage Mode being like a 10 times amp. But none of that really matters, since God tiers completely eclipse this via feats, and I think feats are massively important. Unlike calc stacking, actual feats can give us a better indication on where the character lies on speed. Take someone like Kaguya. She's capable of absorbing chakra all the way from Earth and it traveling all the way to her dimension as a straight beam. The same goes for Momoshiki more importantly, since it's directly stated that chakra traveled from outside of Momoshiki's dimension all the way to him. This happens during his transformation, which is very quick, a few seconds at most, if not shorter, because that's like cinematic time, right? Even if we lowball, we do see multiple stars within Momoshiki's dimension, but even if you assume it traveled from like the nearest solar system, so from a closest star other than our own, the speed at which the chakra would have to travel is easily millions of times faster than the speed of light. And if anything, what we should do here is assume is, knowing that there's a starry sky, consider it a multi-solar system sized dimension with a bare minimum distance. So usually the fictional baseline is the furthest bright star visible from an unrated eye. A good example of one is Eta Carinii, a red hypergiant that lies roughly around 7,500 light years away. So if it was able to travel that distance within a few seconds, the result would be ridiculous. There's no point of me even telling you where it would be. all you need to know is that it's fast enough to outspeed somebody like Luffy. And we do see Momoshiki and base Naruto kind of keep up with each other in speed. If not, we know full power Naruto at least scales to this speed. Now you might be asking, well Bullet, why does Momoshiki's chakra speed scale to his actual like combat speed? And the reason to this is because we know characters' chakra speed relates to their own combat speed. Take somebody like Kaguya. When we see a chakra moving, we see the members of Team 7 being able to react to his chakra, yet also keep up with Kaguya in speed, meaning either their combat speed is faster than their chakra, or they're both relative. And these aren't the only examples of having feats this fast. We get feats in other novels, like Retsuden, where Hagoromo sends the polar particles to other constellations, etc, etc. Or we see Urashiki move from another constellation all the way to Earth within a few episodes as a shining light. It's quite common in Boruto for these feats to happen, since these are like cosmic characters who have to travel like interstellar distances to get to places. Some of them do it for teleportation, some of them do it through flight. As you can see, I'd rather use feats than something like calc stacking, where you can get them both to like 1,000,000,000 times faster than the speed of light. It's really cringe. And this brings us to our conclusion. If you guys disagree, sure, that's your opinion. You can let me know exactly why in the comment section or on any of my social medias, including Discord, link in the description. Anyway, both Naruto and Luffy are both really powerful, but I do think Naruto is the stronger and faster character. All you really have to do is look at the basic narrative of the shows. Like, I feel like Naruto's in that stage where realistically he's got past his war arc and the world-ending threat stuff, and the scale has now been escalated. I'm sure One Piece will get to that stage as well eventually. And yeah, stat-wise, there's not a lot to say. I kind of gave you the disparities in feats and scaling. I didn't think this would be a matchup people wanted to see. If I'm being completely honest, I thought it was really like the Naruto versus Ichigo thing that most people wanted to see. Even if you didn't agree with the outcome, hopefully you enjoyed me just talking about these characters and the content in general. If you did, it would be much appreciated if you could like the video, maybe subscribe even. And if you really love this, then the ultimate thing you could do is become a member. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Peace out.